Welcome back to Talkin' Tough, guys. It's a rainy morning where I'm at, so I think it's a perfect day to talk tough. And if you guys haven't watched it, it's the perfect day to settle down and just sit there and watch it. But in this episode, we have Chandler Cole of Team Nunes fighting Jordan Heiderman of Team Pena. This is the last of the heavyweight semi or quarterfinals, I should say. It's the last of the heavyweight fights before the semis, but. Yeah, this one's a big one, and it's going to basically settle whether Team Nunes or Team Pena won the first round for the heavyweights. And right now, Team Pena has the lead. They have two heavyweights in the semis, and Amanda only has the one. So we'll see what happens after this fight. But going in, the only really thing that really happened in this episode, I guess, was just reiterating that Chandler Cole had that torn ligament in his elbow, and there wasn't even really much about it in this one. It was more just him reiterating that was there. And then obviously in training, actually he did have a slight disagreement with Amanda Nunes about it. She seemed to be more in the I guess the mindset that you should just work through it, and this is a once in a lifetime type of opportunity, and you got to just train your hardest and get through it. But Chandler wanted to take it a little easier with the grappling, just to avoid tweaking it any worse than it already was. I mean, for me, the thing that I thought of just when I watched it was just again how it seems like Team Pena, her and her coaches, they seem more connected with the athletes, in the sense that they're looking out for their best interests. And Amanda Nunes, I think she's doing that, but she definitely has a different mindset about it. But in this case of TUF, I don't know why. I just have a feeling I feel like it's a better way to coach, kind of catering more towards the athlete, because you're not their head coach. They're in a foreign situations, and you don't really know much about them as a person, besides I guess originally, when you meet them. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like that too much. But I don't really know if what ended up happening with that. They didn't really say. They just showed Chandler training. So I don't know if they kind of just showed it. I think just to point out that it was happening. But for me at least, I just think of that as more reason why Juliana Pena is just really just a great coach, because I feel like her in that situation would have been a little bit different. But I guess we'll never really know. But with that, I think we could just probably get right into Chandler Cole and his backstory. So Chandler Cole, he was a pretty cool dude, if you ask me. I mean, he comes from a small town, which I think is awesome. He's from Virginia, and he actually coaches wrestling at the high school that he went to as a kid. So that just gives you an idea of how close-knit the town probably is. But besides that, he's also a correctional officer in a maximum security prison. So I said to myself, I guess he's in jail, in the jail with a bunch of murderers and things like that, if it's a maximum security prison. And I say to myself, hope none of those guys tried to fight him. I mean, without a weapon, I guess. Because I'm saying to myself, a heavyweight MMA fighter, I don't know. I don't fancy the chances for an inmate in a maximum security prison against Chandler. That's just me, though. I think that Chandler probably has a better skill set, unless the guy's holding a shank or something. But just. Yeah, hopefully no prisoners have tried to fight him, because they probably found out real quick how bad of an idea that was. But he's got heavy hands, really good wrestling. They were showing some of his highlights before, and you could even see, just with some of his transitions, he's a good grappler. But like I said, coming in, he had the elbow injury, so you know that he's coming in a diminished state, because torn ligament, that's no joke. I mean, you could fight through it, but obviously there's a lot of pain there, and you can't really move the same way. But just in general, I really like Chandler's story of just hard work and dedication. I like that he didn't even think I'm never not fighting. You know what I mean? He was injured, and the doctor told him it's a risk in order to fight, but it was never an option not to fight for him, unless basically that he couldn't. So I'm glad that his hard work has paid off. He's made it here, from a small town, and not letting that elbow injury deter him. And he's going in there, maybe not at full strength, but he's going in with a full heart. So and then one of the other things I did want to mention, I guess, before we get into Jordan Heiderman, was another alter ego has entered my attention in the house. So originally I said Bobby Maximus is probably one of the most interesting alter egos that you could find in the house, but I did not know of the existence of Fitness Chandler. So he comes into the house with a lot of energy. He's wearing his uniform. He's got a headband on. He's got the the jump rope and stuff like that, or not jump rope, it's like a stretch band, and he's got it like on his back, and he's just doing squats in front of everybody. Zach Pauga, he wasn't enjoying it too much. He was eating, and he's got Chandler's ass in his face, so that's really not too pleasant. You're just trying to eat like a bowl of cereal, and some dude's doing squats right in front of you. It's not exactly appetizing. But Fitness Chandler just doing the squats around the house, that was electric, and I think he definitely gives Bobby Maximus a run for his money. But I guess with that, we'll just get real quick into Jordan Heiderman. So Jordan Heiderman's story wasn't exactly as long as Chandler Cole's, and that's probably because, he is from Nebraska, and like, for anyone who's from like anything, even like a suburb or a city, like, it's not exactly like Los Angeles and New York City and Nebraska, and you could see that in Jordan's home video. It kind of looked like Fallout or something like that. It was just so flat, and like it almost looked like deserted outside of like the suburbs that he lives in. But yeah, it's just definitely an interesting look at just like the life out there. But there obviously, like, he trains out of like a smaller gym in that area, and besides that, honestly, like, I thought he was pretty interesting. He looks like a Viking. Like, he's a very intimidating looking guy, and even Juliana Pena calls him that. And besides that, just the one other thing that I noticed that I really enjoyed was looking at his dog. His dog's pretty cool. He showed him in the home video. It was a puppy. Yeah, I'm a big dog person, so respect to Jordan Heiderman for that. But besides that, he's very well versed in MMA. He's a good all-around fighter. He's got good grappling, heavy hands, very good kicks for a heavyweight too. Yeah, so it was just pretty interesting, like, coming into this fight, because you got like two guys who have good grappling and good enough striking that like they could really just be standing and trading, or it could be just like crazy scrambles on the ground. But I guess we can just get right into the breakdown of the fight to find out what happened. So this fight was basically your classic heavyweight fight. Two guys that are more exhausted than me right now, and I had 2 full days of work before this, which is why I'm clearly on low energy for this one. But it was a really good fight, and it was a good ending to this episode. So in round 1, pretty much Chandler, he was just picking Jordan apart, and I don't really know if it was just, I don't think it was really like a lack of striking like skill on Jordan's part. I think it was really just a lack of output. He wasn't really throwing as much, and Chandler was hitting him with like a lot of leg kicks and some nice overhands and stuff, and they had Jordan ready for that. Like, one of the things that they were hammering home during the part where they were showing Jordan's training was just, you got to keep that left hand up. Don't get hit by that overhand right. Wasn't the overhand right, it was a spinning wheel kick that Chandler ended up hitting Jordan Heiderman with, and he dropped him pretty early, and he ended up getting back up Jordan, and he ended up surviving that round somehow. After that kick was just nasty, like, and you don't really expect it, because Chandler, like, he's a short and stocky guy, and Jordan is bigger, and he's like he's big dude, like jacked, and yeah, it was just funny. Like, he just got him with it, and you could see like Jordan's legs go right away, and like, you're like, oh my god. Even Dana gets up. He's like, holy shit. But yeah, Jordan survived that. But obviously, round 1 goes to Chandler just due to the knockdown and just effective striking as a whole. Just good leg kicks, just landing a lot more shots, and even in between rounds, that's what Team Pena was telling Jordan. You got to throw a little more. Get it. You got to get some in there. You know what I mean? And then in round 2, that I thought that's exactly what he did. It started off a little bit like round 1, but Jordan settled in, and he started landing like a lot of 1-2s. He was using his range really well, because like I said, he's a lot taller. But the thing in this fight that was interesting was Chandler, and like, he even hinted at it like in the Fitness Chandler section of the show, but he's very fast, like, for someone who's built like him. Like, he's very short and stocky, which usually doesn't really tend to lead towards speed, especially for heavyweights. And he seemed like a lot faster than Jordan in there, especially in round 1 and in the beginning part of round 2. I don't know if it was just that he was getting tired or what, but Jordan definitely, like, towards the latter part of the round, like, he was really just piecing him up with good boxing and just walking him down. And round 2 was like a point of contention for some people. Like, Amanda Nunes, she was not happy that this fight did not end after this round. She thought that Chandler had won both, therefore winning the fight. Even Dana had said that, like, he thought that Chandler won both rounds, but he obviously wasn't as, like, broken up about it. Even he knew that, like, round 2 was kind of close, and it's just the way it happens sometimes in MMA when you leave it up to the judges. But the fight goes into round 3, much to the dismay of Team Nunes, and Chandler just looked pretty tired in there after like a quick flurry in the beginning where both of the guys were throwing bombs. Like they were both landing big shots. I don't know who was going to get out of there unscathed, but it ended up being Jordan who landed a couple nice ones on Chandler, and Chandler ended up just shooting a lazy takedown, and I think he was just exhausted because Jordan just turned him around, like he got on his backside and was just landing bombs, ground and pound. Like this was vicious ground and pound. And he just kept going until the ref pulled him off, and he won by TKO early, round 3. And it's tough because, if you watched it and you're like under the impression that Chandler won both rounds, you got to feel for him, and you got to feel for him anyway because he didn't fight like a bad fight. But, that's just the way it happens. You got to just be ready for that third round. They always say it in The Ultimate Fighter. You never know what's going to happen. So, it's just tough to see that happened to him. He seems like a great dude, hard worker, and he's not going to stop. You could even see how like broken up he was about it after the fight. But Jordan, he looked great. I mean, he showed like a lot of heart, obviously getting through that first round and that crazy knockdown that he suffered. Even he was in the locker room. He's like, I really got hit with that. But it's just a great fight for him. Like I said, good boxing. Like after a while, he had effective use of his range, and just the takedown defense obviously helped him in the very end, and the ground and pound, like I said, was just ferocious. So high hopes for him, and that gives Team Pena obviously a 3-1 lead on the heavyweight side of this tournament. So basically just a little recap before we go here. The heavyweight semifinals are now set. All the quarterfinals for the heavyweights are over. So Team Pena now has Zach Pauga, Muhammad Usman, and now Jordan Heiderman to Team Nunes as Eduardo Perez. So it's 3-1, which makes it exciting because that means members of Team Pena are going to be fighting each other. And that's always weird because, like, you're training with someone for this whole time, and then all of a sudden you just got to fight them, and it's just like that. And, I'm really intrigued because I think, like, all these guys are really good because, like, Eduardo Perez, I remember his fight, he had just fantastic boxing. I wouldn't mind seeing him versus a guy like Zach Pauga, who's another good striker. And then you got Mo Usman, too, obviously, Kamaru's little brother. Honestly, is he his little brother? I could be wrong about that, actually. Let's see. Mo Usman. He is his little brother by a couple of years. Well, big little brother, obviously, because he's a heavyweight. But I would love to see Usman versus Heiderman. That would be an interesting fight for me. But, I mean, I'm not the matchmakers. We'll see how it all ends up. I mean, it's obviously all pre-recorded. We're just seeing it as it happens as the weeks goes on. But, I mean, Team Pena, they win the heavyweight, I guess, portion of this because Team Nunes only has one fighter left. I mean, obviously Eduardo can end up winning it all, and then Team Nunes technically wins it. But it's not really about that. At least for me, I think it's more about the fighters. For me, like the coaches win is their fight or the coaches challenge, which I don't really know when that's happening. I guess that's like later on in the season. The coaches challenge is always fun. If you guys don't know about that, it's pretty much just like they do some sort of game, whether it's like ping pong, what's that one game? Cornhole, like things like that. Like it's just stupid games. Like rock climbing, I remember was one of them. Was Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey. There was one. It was like a military like type training course with Dominic Cruz and Uriah Faber. They've had some interesting ones. I don't know what it's going to be this season, but I guess we'll see. But for now, Team Pena has a 3-1 lead at heavyweight against Team Nunes, and then the final quarterfinal fight with the flyweights is Brogan Walker of Team Nunes, and she is fighting Hannah Guy of Team Pena. I can't wait to see how that flyweight bracket ends up. And right now we got the heavyweight one finished, and I can't wait to talk about it in the next episode.